And we're live. How you doing, Chris?
Doing great. Do you want to tell them what happened over the past 20 minutes?
Yeah, I do. So we recorded an intro like literally 10 minutes ago about how excited we were that we got semi-professional equipment. I mean, we had a mixer and we had two really good podcast microphones and whatever. But then the mixer burned out my AC adapter because I'm not using the original one because I don't have the original one. So I thought this one would do. It's 3 volts short and it outputs way less than it needs for energy. Yeah. So my AC adapter just got fucking burned out. And like 5 minutes into the thing, we just lost mics. So
basically, to sum it up, you got to deal with us in this capacity for another week or so. But hopefully this is enjoyable enough. But we will have some new high-tech equipment in the next few weeks. So bear with us until then.
We will get it right. But that's a fucking bummer because it sounded really awesome.
It really did.
But whatever. We're here now. So episode 3 for film's sakes. Welcome back. Thank you for listening.
Oh, yeah. Episode 3. 3 episodes in already.
Yeah, it feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, like we just started last week.
Yeah.
We kind of basically did.
Well, we did. It's been 3 weeks. It just feels weird because it's such a, like within every episode, there's such a length of time that it feels like a lot of shit should have happened, but it never does. Yeah. Anyway, so episode 3. What's been going on with you? Let's catch up a bit.
First thing, the Bernie Sanders. You know,
that's right.
The last podcast we were talking, Bernie Sanders was going into Iowa, the Iowa caucus with Hillary Clinton. He ended up basically tying. He lost by a percentage vote there, but we had you on the lookout for the New Hampshire caucus, which he did win. And
he won the shit out of it.
He won the shit out of it. Yeah, Bernie won that. So let's look forward to February the 20th in Nevada.
Nevada.
I mean, it's positive energy. I mean, that's all it's about, positive energy.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders' campaign has been one of the most interesting to watch.
It is.
Because not only is it like really independent, like legitimately independent campaign, but it's also one of the most hated and most loved campaigns at the same time. Yeah. I mean, you go on Facebook and you're able to find 2 people. People are like feeling the burn, and people are like feeling the burn. You know? So like, I'm excited to see what Bernie Sanders can do. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Funny thing. Earlier, I was checking Facebook, and I ran an article about Emily Ratajkowski.
Not sure who that is.
She was in Gone Girl, and she was the top dancer in Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines video.
Okay. All right.
She's a Polish model, lives here.
Polish?
Polish,
okay.
Yeah. Super great lady. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She opened up for Bernie in one of the rallies. And I don't know which rally it was, but she opened up for Bernie, and people fucking hated her for it.
Why?
Like, because, I don't know, I guess people think that models can't be smart.
Well, they kind of have a point there. No, I mean, that was odd. I just heard Cindy Crawford on Mark Maron a couple of weeks ago. And I would have never known. I mean, I just used her as jack-off material, you know, back as a teenager. You know, but the thing is, she was a valedictorian. You know, she graduated at the top of her class in high school. Same thing in college. You know, she's a million times smarter than I could ever hope to be.
Yeah.
You know, but I would have never known that.
It's fucking insane. Yeah. And, like, we have this model showing that she has some sort of value in the political field, knowing that even though Hillary's a female president, she doesn't have... Candidate, sorry. She doesn't have the values that we need as Americans right now. So, like, first of all, she's smart enough to do that.
Sure.
She's brave enough to, like, go against all the fucking hate and, like, support an old white dude that wants to bring economic equality.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disheartening to see the sexism and the blatant display of ignorance that happens in social media when you get this kind of issues.
Sexism is big in the States. Yeah. And that's the point that I was talking about earlier before we were on the podcast about the friend of mine that's having a kid. You know, it was like, the best part about it, my girlfriend's pregnant. The best part about it, it's a boy. And I'm like, the way that I heard it was, my girlfriend's pregnant. The best part about it is, it's not a girl.
Yeah. You know? what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, girls are arguably as valuable as boys.
Arguably, I mean, no, they are.
Arguably.
You know, it just is. Not even arguably.
Yeah.
They
like,
are.
Arguably.
So. Yeah. You know, but I mean, I see Hillary Clinton as kind of like the Jesse Jackson of her time, you know, in this aspect. How Jesse Jackson continued to run for president over and over with no shot. Like, we knew that Jesse Jackson was going to win. I mean, every time that he ran. But then when Obama got elected, you seen Jesse Jackson in the crowd of people just bawling, crying those tears, because he knew had he not went ahead and waved the flag and been the front runner and going out there and lost all those times, then it wouldn't have been possible for Obama.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at Chelsea Clinton. Now she's into politics now. I would like to see what she does in the next 15 to 20 years because I don't see it for Hillary. I see her as being the Jesse Jackson. She has to get up there and lose and lose and lose. And it's so bad, like the position that she's in. Because 8 years ago, it was her time. You know, it was on. We didn't even know who Obama was. It was only Hillary. And then Obama shows up. It's like, well, how about we just give it to the guy this time?
My fellow Americans.
Yeah.
How about we give it to the guy?
Yeah. You know, let's just give it to the man this time, and then we'll see how that goes, and we'll come back to you, Hillary. And then we gave it to Obama. He had his 8 years, and now Hillary's back. You remember when you said just give it to him this one time, now it's my turn, and now she's there, and now it's like, Bernie, well, we'll just give it to this other guy one more time, and then like, no, you know. So I don't think. No,
I do feel bad for Hillary's position.
Yeah,
because she's playing. I think, in my opinion, she's playing the gender card a lot.
She's playing race card too.
Yeah, is she?
Oh yeah, she's going to South Carolina, like she's trying to rally the black voters.
No shit.
And that's the thing, she has the black voters. Obama had the youth and the black vote.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders has the youth vote. Hillary Clinton has the black vote. Now, if Hillary loses in South Carolina, the black vote goes with Bernie Sanders.
I like to think so too. Yeah. I'm really hopeful that Bernie gets both the youth and minority vote.
Me too.
Because that means that we're making some real traction.
Yes.
And I'm sorry we got political for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but it's important. It's important to talk about politics.
They got to deal with that shit anyway. This is stuff that's happening in real life in America. You know, so wherever you live is real life.
Yep. And also, I want to clarify. When I said arguably, I totally meant like certainly.
Yeah, certainly.
I just fucked up the word.
Like maybe women are good as men. Yeah. I guess you can make an argument for that. They're kind
of. But that's happening. Bernie's getting traction. I think Hillary's gonna not win this time. Doesn't mean that she won't be able to win later.
We told her that last 8 years ago. But we'll, you know. Yeah.
But right now, my vote's for Bernie.
Me too.
And if you're in any of the states that have any power over this, if you're in the United States, and then you're thinking about voting for someone, get off your bloody ass and go vote.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be the one that dictates whether or not we have to deal with economic equality and booming economy, or the richer get richer and we get less and less as the years go on. Yeah. So please go vote.
That would be great. Other news that happened, a big thing that happened here in Charlotte, we're getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, that happened.
The Super Bowl.
If anyone doesn't know, the Carolina Panthers were in the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos.
And it wasn't a good game. The Denver Broncos, they beat the Panthers pretty handily. And the thing is, on Tuesday, I took a half day for Tuesday, expecting to be in downtown Charlotte or uptown Charlotte, ready for the parade. They already had the Panthers parade ready for Tuesday, and I was ready to go. There was no parade.
We should have had it anyway.
Should have had it anyway.
Fuck it. We lost. Yeah. Fuck it. We lost. Yeah. We'll play again next year. Yeah. No, I watched that game. I watched up to the halfway point of the game. I think third quarter. Yeah. And if we had just been annihilated by the Broncos, I feel like it would have been less emotional strain. But we were like right fucking there.
Yeah. We never turned it on.
So it was a fun game. I ate a lot of wings and my ass blew out the morning after.
Nice.
It was fucking awful, but it was a fun time.
Yeah. What else we had? The Bernie Sanders, the Super Bowl. Oh, I watched the Michael Jackson Off the Wall.
Ah, shit, that's right. How's that?
That was really, really good. Spike Lee was a director. I didn't know that going into it. And the good thing about it is you hear all the fanfare about Thriller. You know, Thriller is one of the best albums of all time. That's not arguable just because of the sales. You know, it's ridiculous in sales. But my personal favorite album is Off the Wall. And you'll see that in not just music, in movies and television, a lot of things like that, to where it's often the piece of work before the one that really gets recognized, that was really the gold, you know. Denzel Washington winning that Oscar when the art that he did before that was the gold. You know, and that's pretty much how Off the Wall was. Off the Wall was amazing. That led him into the groundbreaking, which was Thriller. You know, but it was a really, really good film. Spike Lee, he put his foot all the way in it. I mean, it was good.
That's good. Awesome. Yep. I haven't checked out my dog poop somewhere. I swear to God.
Oh shit.
I swear to God. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
I was never a huge Michael Jackson fan. I love his music, but I was never a fan of Michael Jackson. And I'm glad that someone's given him sort of like the merit that he deserves for being a great musician. Especially Spike Lee.
Yeah.
Spike Lee's fucking good.
He's amazing.
What else? Did you watch anything else?
This week, The OJ thing is still really good.
I've heard some ads. I saw some ads for that. It looked really promising.
Yeah, I saw episode 2 aired a couple of days ago. It might have been a Tuesday actually. Yeah, Tuesday.
Okay.
Episode 2 aired Tuesday. It's still so good. Cuba Gooding Jr. He's doing this is the role of his lifetime right now. Well, for now it is. You know, he's kind of fell off after A Few Good Men, like Snow Dogs, kind of buried him. You know, after he had that bomb of a film, but this is really really good, and I implore anyone to watch that. It's really good.
Sweet. Things that I watched. I watched today we're going to be talking about underacknowledged movies and sort of like the movies that go by under the public radar. That's the topic for today. So in prep for that, I watched Drive with Ryan Gosling, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, some weird last name.
Winding Raft?
Yeah, I don't know, some weird name. Nicholas Winding, that guy directed it.
Yeah.
And I watched Frank. I don't know who directed that movie.
I don't either.
And I watched, and I started to watch Only God Forgives, another one with Ryan Gosling, and I think the same director that did Lars and the Real Girl a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Lars von something, I think. Great fucking movies. I loved all of them.
Yeah.
Only God Forgives. I didn't get too far into it.
Yeah.
Because we had to do the podcast. But I mean, stylistically, both Ryan Gosling movies are beautiful, and cinematography, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling has got such a huge fucking range.
He does.
And I want him to do more stuff now. After seeing him in this movies, I want him to do more stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I watched in the last week since the last episode.
Okay.
In terms of like really sat down and watched. Just Frank caught me off guard. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go deep into Frank when we get into the meat of the podcast. That's one of my favorite movies there. It's really good.
It's fucking fantastic. And the soundtrack for that movie, like, it's weird as shit, and it shouldn't work. I should hate it. But it's so good. I don't know what the hell. It's so good.
Yeah.
Props to Michael Fassbender for playing that character the way he did. It was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched anything else besides those movies this week.
I watched some Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's
always a good one.
That's always on my rotation. That's really good.
Oh no, wait, bullshit! I lied. I watched Hannibal Buress's.
Oh yeah, we watched
Comedy Kamikaze.
Comedy Kamikaze.
Yeah, Kamikaze.
Kamikaze, yeah.
That was fucking good. I mean, Hannibal Buress's delivery is good almost every time. My favorite bit is the fucking thing with the glasses.
Oh, y'all need these glasses.
At the beginning.
Throwing them off.
It's like, these are fake glasses just to make you feel comfortable. And he just throws them into the audience.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked that out, Comedy Kamikaze. It's on Netflix with Hannibal Buress. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah. He's a rising star right now. I mean, he's trying to break away from the Bill Cosby thing, you know, and just be known for his own work.
Yeah.
You know? If you don't see that, check him out on Broad City. That's going to be coming back this week. We'll go over that in the premieres for this week. But yeah, you can check him out on that too. It's really good.
Great job. I think there's a lot of really good stuff coming out this year, and I'm super excited to see it. Hell, Caesar came out. Haven't gotten the chance to see it.
I haven't seen it yet.
But I really want to.
Yeah.
And Deadpool comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, we can see it midnight showing tonight or watch it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep. So excited things.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick little break. Me and Chris, I'm gonna stock up on water because I spilled it on the floor fixing the mic.
And we're gonna go find the dog shit.
And we're gonna go find where the dog pooped. He might have just farted. But anyways, we'll be back. And we're live again. Also, I gotta say that two of my favorite things about podcasting is that, first of all, I'm in pajamas, so you don't have to get dressed up to do a fucking podcast.
You do not?
Second of all, it's really funny when we do the 10 seconds of that air so we can capture our noises because we're literally just looking at each other for like 10 seconds.
Nothing going on there.
Nope. Anyway, welcome back. We just took a break and whatever, feel free to adjust the mic. We took a break. We talked about what we watched in the last weekend, and now we are going to into what we actually want to talk about, which is movies that we feel are sort of underappreciated or have somehow slipped under the radar of like most audiences.
Yeah.
And even though some of these movies may have, the movies that we're going to talk about may have high budgets and made a lot of money in the box office, it doesn't mean that they were praised or acknowledged for what they did right.
Exactly.
And then that's where they're in the list. So, for example, I picked Drive with Ryan Gosling from Nicholas Winding, and I picked Old Boy, and
Which one?
The original one,
the good one,
the Korean one, yeah. I picked Old Boy and Only God Forgives, which I'm briefly going to talk about because I didn't get too much into it.
Okay.
But I picked those movies, and Drive made $76 million in the box office with a budget of $15 million.
Yeah.
So these movies may make a lot of money, but doesn't mean that they were acknowledged for what they did right.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
So, Chris.
Yep.
I also watched Frank in preparation for this because I know that you rave for that movie.
Yes,
It's fucking good.
Yeah. I'll put on for Frank. I definitely do.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Frank.
Frank. I mean, I'm a sucker for anything musical at all, you know. And this story is about what's the main character's name is Don Hall Gleason. He's been in Ex Machina, Revenant. In Star Wars, he was General Hux.
Yeah, he looks like an Ed Sheeran.
Like what?
He looks like Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, who's that?
The musician, the redhead musician.
I don't know who that is.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's in that. He's a struggling artist musician. So at the very beginning of the movie, you know, he's just walking up and down the street, up and down the roads, trying to find inspiration. And one of my favorite songs in there is that "Lady in the red shirt, what you doing with that bag? Lady in the blue shirt, do you know the lady in the red shirt?" You know, I mean, it's just completely silly like type stuff. You know, so from there, he ends up meeting Michael Fassbender and
who plays Frank.
Who plays Frank. And Frank now, he wears a what would you call that helmet thing that he's wearing?
It's a fake head.
Like just a fake head.
They call it a fake head in the movie. So let's just call it that.
A large, oversized fake head. You know? So he's wearing this the entire movie for the most part. You know, you'll see that at the end that he finally does take it off. But he's wearing that. So Donald Gleason meets up with that group and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal was good in that movie.
I had to question if she was better than Jake after I watched that.
Here's the thing. I think that there's a tangent, but I think that she is better than Jake Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal, yeah.
But is that I don't know.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
He has a weird fucking last name.
Yeah, that's it.
I think he's better than Jake. She's better than Jake, but Jake has more sort of range, I think. Jake can play a lot more weird, whereas I feel like Maggie, I can see her in the same kind of roles all the time.
I don't know. I want to see more from Maggie.
She's good. She's good.
This opened the doors for me in this movie. But just another favorite scene. Like we'll go over this entire film. You know, another favorite scene of mine is you can pull this clip up on YouTube too. Is Frank. He eventually gets fed up. You know, they're making music that they have their own artistic freedom and they keep their integrity and make the exact music that they want to make. You know, regardless of what people think about it. And eventually, like they're not really selling. No one's really paying attention to it. So Frank decides he's gonna make his most likable song ever.
I love that shit.
Yeah. So he sings like the most pop cornball thing ever. Which, if you like pop, then you probably would like this song. You know, it's just Coca-Cola, let's the gringo dance all night, dance all night. So it's just a ridiculous song that he sings. You know, and Maggie Gyllenhaal stares at him as he sings this deadpan. She's like, "That's your most likable song ever?" He's like, "Yeah," and still deadpan. She's like, "People will love it." You know, and she's not congratulating him on how great the song is. She's just speaking to what popular culture will like, you know. And he was putting out shit. It's like, yeah, they will love it.
I think this movie does two really good things. And first of all, it addresses, three. It addresses identity issues really well.
Yes.
I mean, like to the point where it left me kind of like crying at the end of it. It addresses identity issues really well, and it also sort of critiques the way popular consumerism of music works. And then by that it also critiques how human greed works.
Yeah.
And it does all those things so effortlessly, so fucking smooth, that it's like it's like watching silk just kind of like fall down a table.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal movie, and that movie came out 2013, right?
2013.
And I avoided it because, like, who the fuck is gonna watch a dude in a fake head?
Yeah, that's the poster. That's the cover art. It's just a dude in a fake head. You don't see Michael Fassbender or Maggie Gyllenhaal. None of that. So.
And it just says Frank in the bottom.
That's it.
And like, all right, gonna give a shit about this. Yeah. And I ignored it for 2 years, and then you talked about it, and I watched it, and it caught me completely off guard.
Yeah.
It was I'm not gonna lie. It had its moments where I was like, all right, the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
But it redeemed itself immediately after those moments, and it was fucking fantastic. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah, this isn't one of those straightforward movies that you're gonna watch. So I mean, you have to have like an odd, peculiar type of sense of humor. But I mean, if you're willing to go down the rabbit hole with them, like you said, you do get the payoff.
It's so good. Let's give a rundown of that movie real quick, like a very simple rundown. Right. Donald, what the fuck was his name?
His name is Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson. His character is, like you said, a struggling musician trying to find inspiration. And then there's a band, a local band, sort of playing in a band in a bar at some point in the week. And he happens to be walking along the beach when their pianist tries to kill himself. Yeah. He doesn't die. He tries to kill himself.
Yeah.
He goes to the hospital. Yeah. And so Donald Gleeson character is just like, well, I'm a pianist. And the dude goes to talk to Frank, and he goes like, all right, well, you're in. Show up at this gig. Yep. And then from that moment on, he was drawn into a world that was going to be weird as shit. And throughout the whole movie, we explore Donald Gleeson's character sort of not being able to find his own identity and sort of living off of Frank's identity.
Definitely. And
then when he sort of gets enough momentum with his own identity, he starts corrupting Frank's identity.
Definitely.
And I think that's what the movie's about in the end. It's sort of like how identities don't match up, and sometimes one person can ruin your own identity. And it's just something that you have to deal with. Yeah. And as well as mental illness, a great poster movie for mental illness. It was a good movie. It was a fucking good movie.
And no, I don't want to go too far into antagonist, protagonist here, because it will get a little boring here. But thankfully, at the end, Gleason's character
redeems himself.
He does, and leaves.
Yeah.
He leaves. Like the band grows, they come back together, and instead of corrupting them any further, instead of trying to milk them for whatever he can get out of it, he realizes what they have is pure, and he leaves. He walks away.
Absolutely. I think that was my favorite thing about the movie. Yeah. The ending. The ending of the movie was beautiful.
Yeah.
And the whole conflict of the movie is that they're going to play at South by Southwest. And Donald Gleason's character is sort of pushing to have a more mainstream sound. Yep. A more an identity that doesn't match up with the band's eventual identity.
He wants them to get a little more notoriety.
Exactly, and shit goes wrong because the players of the band don't want to play for that crowd. Maggie Gyllenhaal certainly doesn't want to play for that crowd.
She does not.
But Frank sort of goes along with it because he likes the idea of notoriety and being known for something.
Yeah.
But in doing so, Frank loses his own identity and his own mental sanity that he already has because of the head start sort of crumbling down. And tensions between Donald Gleason and Fassbender, who plays Frank, sort of escalate to the point where Donald Gleason tries to take off the fake head to see the real Frank.
Yeah.
And that leads to the third act of the movie, which is a beautifully paced thing where Donald Gleason realizes that he fucked up and he's trying to find Fassbender. And he finds him, and it's the first time that we see him without the head. Yeah. And you can tell that he's a broken man.
And just he's been wearing this head for so long that the top of his head, like the hair, is just missing just from the
harness.
The harness that's keeping the head on. You know, so it's just embedded into his scalp. You know. So I mean that's how long. Just to give you a picture, how long he's wearing it. He wears it in the shower. He wears it to bed. You know, he's wearing this head all the time. You know?
And by the time that we get to the interaction between Donald Gleason's character and Fassbender's character, we can tell that Gleason went through his own identity issue and realized that he fucked up. And now the idea is trying to fix what he did wrong. And he finds the original band. We're all playing together with the exception of a couple of characters that died. Yeah. And he somehow gets them together, gets Fassbender and the band together again. And then Fassbender sort of starts expressing himself again because there was a moment where he said he couldn't play because it all came out shit. Drawing a parallel to Donald Gleason at the beginning of the movie when he said the exact same thing.
Play. Came out shit.
Exactly. So what we're dealing with is two characters that have their own sense of identity, and they cross, and their sense of identity got confused within each other, and then they switch places only to find their own identities again. That's what the movie was about, and it did it so fucking well.
They did.
So good.
I mean, I'm a guy who doesn't have a problem admitting crime, especially in what was this, a comedy, I guess?
It was supposed to be a comedy.
Somewhat of a comedy, yeah. But I mean, I dropped a couple tears at the end just because when like nobody significant dies at the end, anything like that. No. But what happens is when Frank is finally reunited with the band. And when he walks back into the bar without the head on for the first time, you know, so you don't, as a viewer, you don't know, if you assume Maggie Gyllenhaal has seen him without the head, but you don't know if the other band members have ever seen him without this head, you know? So he walks in with the microphone and just begins to express himself, just speaking, not singing, just talking, you know, and to a point to where one of the band members takes a microphone and reaches it out and gives it to this stranger or whoever this is. It is Frank. But he eventually goes on to write a song expressing himself right there on the spot. Maggie Gyllenhaal just stands there staring at him until she feels it, and that's when the tears drop. When Maggie Gyllenhaal is staring at Frank, and she feels the emotion, and she goes back to her instruments, you see her spazzing all the way out on her whatever instrument that is.
It's a theremin.
A theremin, yeah. She's spazzing out on the theremin, going completely nuts. And I mean, it felt so genuine, so natural that it's just you felt what she was feeling there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment because for me, it was the moment where a man that had been so broken. And for whatever reason, that the only way that he could communicate with himself was wearing this fake head, sort of alluding to like people's wearing a mask. Wearing the mask that you see in person. That was kind of the metaphor that I got for the head. And when you see him walk into first of all, a public place without the head that used to be such a big part of his identity, and then communicate with the people that he loved in such a way, it was just fucking beautiful because it was not only a man breaking his own mental illness, but it was a man finding that he could be what he was without depending on the head. And it was beautiful. It was really great. And not to mention that the song that came out of it was so sweet.
The final song is called "I Love You All." I mean, I have that soundtrack on my phone as well.
So good. I recommend. Listen, if you're in for a good movie and you want to like feel like a genuine emptiness for a good movie, because that's what it felt. The movie left me a little bit empty, but I think it was supposed to. Not empty in a bad way, just sort of like you watch the movie and you're like, ah, shit. Am I being that true to myself? That's the message the movie sort of conveys to me. And so, but if you want a good movie that will fucking just make you think as a person, not as a moviegoer, you're watching the lives of two people, go watch Frank. It is such a well-made and paced movie. The editing is fantastic. The cinematography looks great. And the humor is there. The humor is definitely there. So good.
It's there. I mean, I related it to just how I felt as a younger person, feeling that I wasn't able to express myself the way that I wanted to at the expense of people not accepting me. As just the way that I speak or the way that I can, just anything, just not being able to be my complete self, and still garner acceptance, And then seeing Frank is like I didn't go so far as to wear full head over top of my own head, But I mean, it's just in the way that I'm presenting myself, I basically was.
Yeah, you're wearing a mask. Exactly. You're wearing your fake head. Exactly. But that's what this movie did so right, because it exaggerated what's normally a metaphor, and it made it concrete. So you can see the effects of it wholeheartedly.
So at the end, when you see him walk in, no mask, just bearing himself completely, and realizing that he doesn't need any of that. He can be his complete self and still be accepted by the people that matter.
Exactly, which are his band members and friends. I didn't realize that Maggie was his girlfriend until like halfway through the movie. But it really is such a great fucking movie. So I really encourage you to watch it at any point if you feel like you want to like watch a genuinely good thought-provoking movie. Watch Frank.
You guys got Netflix? Check that out.
Oh yeah, it is on Netflix. That's where I watched it. And also, I want to, before we move on from Frank, there's my favorite scene in the movie. I have two favorite scenes of that movie that made me genuinely laugh. There's one scene when they're about to go play in South by Southwest. It's just Frank and Donald, because the whole band members left, and they're alone. And Frank's sort of doing his anxiety thing, and he goes into a closet, and he comes back out with a head that has makeup and lipstick on, and like a dress, and he just stands over the head and she goes like, "Let's fuck," and I just fucking lost my shit in that scene.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, and then immediately afterwards, I have the scene where they're playing South by Southwest, and Donald's trying to get into it, and Frank's trying to get into it, but he's sort of having a nervous breakdown as he does it, and he breaks down and just passes out on the stage, and Donald's trying to get him to play and whatever, and he goes like, "What's wrong, Frank?" And Frank just looks at him, and he goes like, "Music's shit." And like, it was such a funny moment, but it served such a big purpose for that movie.
It did.
And it's just so good.
I was looking at it as like, it was to the point where he needed a mask for his mask. I mean, he really wanted, I mean, he had his support system was Maggie Gyllenhaal and his band. So they were all gone, and all he has is this newcomer, the new guy in the band, the pianist, as his support system. So he goes in that closet, he makes the head up, into full like women's makeup. Just another extension of hiding himself.
Yeah, just to hide the person that's hiding.
Yeah.
I think, and that was it. Just worked. It just worked.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on Frank?
Go see it. Definitely.
It's on Netflix, and go see it right now because it is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
It was one of the best movies that I saw.
Yep. Moving on.
All right, yeah. Any other movie that you feel like is unacknowledged that you want to talk about?
Something real quick. I don't want to go too far into it. Just because we have the same actor, Domhnall Gleeson. He's also in a television show called Black Mirror.
I love Black Mirror.
You watch Black Mirror?
I watched Black Mirror. I loved it.
Fucking right.
So good.
Yes. Black Mirror is on Netflix. It's kind of Twilight Zone-ish.
It's I would call it a horror anthology.
A horror anthology.
Yeah, a horror.
Okay.
Not necessarily in the gory sense of the word, but in the sort of I wouldn't call it cosmic horror, but the technological horror, I would say.
That's why I compared it more to the Twilight because of the science fiction aspect.
Yeah.
But it's not Twilight, But it's just that's the closest thing that I can,
compare it to. It's really good.
But Domhnall Gleeson, he's in the episode of Black Mirror. Pretty much, I think there's 7 episodes of Black Mirror now on Netflix.
Yep.
They have the newest episode was a Christmas episode with
John Hamm.
With John Hamm from Mad Men. That was a really, really good episode.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was my favorite episode of Black Mirror.
It may be mine too, yeah.
But that anthology is really interesting. The guy that wrote it, Charlie Booker, he's a comedian.
Oh.
In Britain. And he's sort of the sarcastic David Mitchell-y personality.
Okay.
And he wanted to just sort of express how technology can ruin us in a way, and how it can help us, but how it can ruin us. And Black Mirror it's the fucking, what's the word? It's just that. It's just telling you that as the way that technology is going, if we go too far, it can ruin us in the end. Yeah. That's what Black Mirror is, and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good watch. Like I definitely recommend that. It's on Netflix as well.
Yep, all 7 episodes are on Netflix, and every episode's about an hour long, something like that. So it's pretty good. Yep. Go watch it.
All right. What do you got?
What do I got? Okay, well I watched 2 movies. We already talked about Frank. I watched Drive. With Ryan Gosling, directed by Nicholas Winding.
Do you remember who the female lead was in that? Was that Maggie Gyllenhaal too?
No, that wasn't Maggie. I know her name. It's Kate something.
All right, we'll figure it out at some point. We'll do some research, but yeah.
We'll Google it. You can search it while I talk.
Yeah.
So I was watching. Oh, that's right. We were watching. I was watching Drive last night, and Drive was one of those movies that I avoided too because it's sort of the way that it was marketed looked like a generic action movie. Yeah. It really did. Look at a generic action movie with Ryan Gosling as the lead and like a love interest with dad and whatever, and I just didn't care for it. Yeah. But upon watching that movie, it's one of the best movies that I've seen. It's really fucking good. And the reason why it's good is because we have a return of the hero without a name. Yeah. Like Ryan Gosling's character is one of the most fascinating characters that I've seen in any recent sort of action story. He has no name. You know nothing about him. The first time that you see him, he says, you have 5 minutes. Anything happens before or after those 5 minutes, you're on your own. Yep. But within those 5 minutes, I'm yours, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I should explain the plot, I guess.
Yeah, what he does, yeah.
He's a professional stunt driver during the day. But during night, he's a getaway driver for criminals. So criminals hire him, and he pretty much tries to get them away from the scene and successfully escape the cops. Yep. So that's his whole premise. He's just a driver. Yep. Doesn't matter how he's doing it, he just drives.
And that is his name in the film. Like I said, no name, he's just a driver.
He's just a driver. The movie opens up, and we see him going like 5 minutes, before 5 minutes, you're on your own. During those 5 minutes, I'm yours. And then he just goes off, and we get this exciting fucking chase sequence. Yeah. Like immediately, like 5 minutes into the movie. Yeah. We get told that he's a criminal first. And then he's robbing a thing. He drives back, a beautifully filmed and paced action sequence.
That's some of the best work. The cinematography on that movie
so
is
good.
Amazing. Yes.
It is fucking phenomenal. Yeah. Because every shot just kind of lingers. And every shot just kind of lets you know that although nothing is being said, there's a lot going emotionally. So, I mean, and for being trapped inside a car. Filming inside a car is not easy.
No.
because there's not a lot of room. The camera's big. It's unwieldy. But whatever this movie did to get that beautiful in-car, making the cars feel like they're open and like a room where the character inhabits instead of an object, is hard to do. And this movie did it fucking perfectly. I never felt like any of the cars were just there for being cars. Yeah, no. They were a room. It was a space that he was inhabiting, and it was great.
And so, some of the actors, because I mean, there were some pretty big name actors. Ron Perlman played Nino. You might know him from Sons of Anarchy. Yep, he was really good. Bryan Cranston. I mean, I'm sure Malcolm in the Middle. Breaking Bad, most notably. Oscar Isaac.
Isaac. I didn't expect him in this movie. He was fucking phenomenal.
If you don't know the name Oscar Isaac by now, then you will in a couple of years. This guy he's heading through the roof. I mean, we've probably mentioned him on the last 3 podcasts, just talking about different things. Yeah. You know, and he's in everything. Christina Hendricks, most notably, she's from Mad Men, but you might have seen her in there's a new television show with yada yada yada. So I can't. The female lead that we were looking for, her name was Carey Mulligan.
Carey Mulligan, that's her. She was phenomenal too. Yeah, she was really good. Here's the thing. The thing about this movie is that the cast is all the way that it's filmed is very intimate. There's not a whole lot of wide shots. I think. No. There's everything's kind of like medium or close.
I mean, that was the highlight of the movie to me, is how well they shot confined spaces. Yeah. You brought up the car scenes, but my favorite shot was in the elevator.
Oh yeah,
an elevator scene with him and the female lead. They're standing in there, and then a guy walks in, and you know that it's about to go down. You know, and
we get this sort of like nice slow motion effect. We see the guy flash his gun. Yeah. And then we see Gosling kind of like pull the lead away from the guy. And sorry, go on.
No. I mean, yeah, just explaining it. I mean, it's just it was one of the better scenes of that movie, and just in film in general for me. You know, it's just the way that it was done is capturing, and it's like another thing about it is not heavy on dialogue.
No,
not really. Driver is not heavy on dialogue at all. That elevator scene is just you're expressing what you're trying to say through the cinematography, through the camera work, through the actors, and through emotion more so than with words. Yeah. You know?
I actually, now that you mentioned that it's barely in dialogue, I took notes on it. I took like 2 small pages of notes on it. And one of the notes was from minute 3 to minute 17, Ryan Gosling does not talk.
Exactly, yes.
There is background noise. There's people talking to Gosling, but he does not talk. No. For 14 minutes of the movie, our lead does not fucking say a word. And that repeats itself. Pretty much. I mean, he only pretty much has 1-line answers.
He doesn't speak much.
Yeah, he doesn't. No one speaks very much in this movie. No. Except for Nino.
Nino, yeah.
That's the guy that speaks the most in the movie. No and that serves, like, when none of your characters speak, and you have a character that speaks way too much, you immediately alienate that character. Yep. And it did that perfectly. Yes. Because it turns out that Carey Mulligan's character, she has a kid with Oscar Isaac, and Oscar Isaac just got out of jail, like for, I'm guessing, a robbery. Yeah. And the people that he paid money to in the jail to protect him while he was inside now want his money back. And so they're using him to get one last job done, which is to steal $1 million from another family mob. Yeah. But they don't know that. They just think they're going to rob a pawn shop. Yeah. And the reason why Ryan Gosling's involved in this is because before Benicio went back into the house, he got out of jail. Ryan Gosling befriended Carey Mulligan and her son, and he sort of helps her out with like her car and just be a friend and just be there, be a neighbor. Yeah. And when Benicio came back, he really cared for this family. I don't think he cared much about Benicio. No. But no, Benicio was the kid. Standard was the dad.
Was that Standard?
Yeah, Standard was the dad. Standard Gabriel was Oscar Isaac. Okay. Sorry, fucked up. Every Benicio replaced it with Standard.
There we go. You do that in your mind.
So Standard came home, and he really, really, really didn't care about Standard. I don't think he liked him at all. But he cared about Carey and the kid. Yeah. And when he comes home one day from the garage, he finds Standard beat up and the kid watching. Yeah. And he realizes that Standard's still in trouble with the mob, and he said, all right, I'll help you out. This is your last job. I'm doing this for you so you can go back to your wife and kid. Despite the fact that Ryan Gosling does have does like love the neighbor, I would say. He decides to help Isaac to get back to his family. And what happens is the job was a hit. for Oscar Isaac. So that who the fuck's the guy that's in charge of Nino? Bernie, I think was his name.
I can't think of his name. I can find it.
It was the boss man. The boss man that's in charge of Nino. He wanted $1 million. Nino wanted $1 million because he worked for this family.
Bernie Rose.
Bernie Rose. Yeah. And so it's basically mob things.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling gets involved for trying to help Oscar Isaac, who didn't know that he was going to get hit. Oscar Isaac gets killed. And at this point in the movie, this is no longer a romance movie or an action movie. This turns into a revenge movie. Yep. And it is so good at doing that you're like, oh shit, Ryan Gosling's fucking pissed.
I mean, this right here, it cemented Ryan Gosling for me as one of the better actors in Hollywood. Because like I said, the no speaking thing was one, but it's just, it came off kind of like a Clint Eastwood, the man's man.
Exactly what, the man with no name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. It came off very Clint Eastwood to me. You know, it was just that, just his stature, his aura, his essence of everything that he was. It didn't need to be carried by words. You know, You knew exactly what that man was when the elevator opens and you see him just standing there. You know exactly what he is, who he is. You know, without him having to speak. You know,
it's so good. Like the cinematography is amazing. Like we said,
it is.
And it carries everything that movie wants to do. I know we're short on time, but we're gonna go a little longer because this is a good episode, I think.
Oh yeah.
But Drive, Ryan Gosling, one of the best movies out there.
Yes.
And
highly recommend. Is that still on Netflix?
No, it's not.
Oh,
I had to download it sadly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like good writing, good directing, really good directing, and good cinematography, Drive is one of my favorite fucking movies out there.
And the soundtrack. And
the soundtrack for that movie was so good.
There's a song on there, if you can find it. It's called Night Call, and it's from the movie. But yeah, download that if you can. Spotify, iTunes, whatever you gotta do. Night Call from the soundtrack of Drive.
And this movie felt like the 80s, but like a modern version of the 80s.
Version of 80s, yeah, it did.
Like it took everything that 80s action movies sort of had, including the soundtrack and the sort of the aesthetic. Everything's kind of like colorful and illuminated.
Yeah.
That's another thing. The lighting for this movie, holy
A1.
shit,
A1
holy
lighting.
shit. Because most of the movie takes place at night.
Yeah.
And it never feels like an empty road. It never feels like a black car.
Yeah.
It never feels like anything that's obstructed.
Yeah.
Everything is done with such purpose, including the lighting inside the car. Yeah. When he's driving, the lights that flash over him.
Yep.
The jello hue of like just sunset. It's just so good.
It looks amazing.
It looks so good. It's a beautiful fucking movie. Ryan Gosling does an amazing job at it. And really, don't look at it as an action movie. Look at it as a movie.
Yeah, if you go in expecting high action, then you may leave disappointed. If you want to see really good acting, really good cinematography, I mean, then that's your movie.
I don't think there was a bad actor in that movie.
There wasn't. No,
I don't think there was a bad actor. Everyone was good. Even the background people were.
Yeah.
First of all, there weren't many background people. It's a very intimate story, and that's what I love.
Yeah, I mean, Bryan Cranston was like number 5 on the list, you know, so I mean, that's how good the cast is, you know.
It's so good.
It's really good. So yeah, definitely recommend that.
Check out Drive if you want another really good movie. Check out Drive, and don't expect anything out of it.
No, yeah, just watch it.
Watch it, because it's good. It's so good. Yeah. And before I'm not gonna get too into Only God Forgives because I didn't finish it. Okay. But another really good Ryan Gosling movies. These came out at the same year, I think. Only God Forgives and Drive.
Okay.
Which was a weird thing to do because they're really similar movies stylistically. Not in terms of plot or like the way that it's written and delivered. I think the directors are even different. But it's another one of those like really stylized, super good lighting cinematography movies that can err on the size or pretentiousness. Yeah. But it looks beautiful, and you should also check it out. I'm gonna watch it when we're done with the podcast. Actually,
I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna have to see it myself.
It's pretty good. I only made it about 20 minutes in, and I really liked it. What about you?
I've seen one other. I've seen this movie 30, 40, 50 times already, but I wanted to just rehash it just so we could talk about it today. Jungle Fever.
Jungle Fever? I've never seen that.
Jungle Fever. I mean, it's initially people thought it was about black and white people, you know, because then on the cover it shows a black hand and a white hand, you know, coming together. Basically, it's about Wesley Snipes the blackest black person you're ever gonna meet. You know, not in the way that he acts so much, but I'm just saying his skin
He's
color.
black as shit.
He's black as shit. He knows that
He's
shit.
fucking black.
Anyway,
He's like so black, he's almost purple.
We call it blurple. Yeah, blurple. Just so black. But yeah. Wesley Snipes, he's in it, and his what's his character name? Skipper is his name in the movie, and he has a new lady that's working with him, a white girl. She's Italian. They both live in Brooklyn, in New York. She starts working with him, and eventually they're working long nights, and they're together alone, and they eventually hook up. You know,
okay.
By hook up, I mean he puts his penis inside her. All right. Now you know if the euphemism was getting across correctly. So, but yeah, so that happens.
Sorry. Come on.
So that happens, and then but he's married. He's still married. He's married to a light-skinned black woman.
Oh shit! Sorry, I turned into an audience member now. That was fucking great.
He's married to a light-skinned black woman, and in the black community, it's a weird thing that the light-skinned people are kind of looked at as kind of accepted, and the dark-skinned people are not. You know, I don't know if it's held that highly now, but this is in the 80s, you know, to where it just was. So it was a big thing. It's like black guys, you know, you get a light-skinned girl, and now you just want to go lighter and lighter. Eventually, you get a white girl, and you know the Kanye gold digger. You know that when he get on, he leave you ask for a white girl. I mean, it's just the exact same thing over and over. But it was more than the race relations between blacks and whites. You know, the movie essentially was about the crack epidemic that was going on, especially in New York. The character Gator.
Gator. Sounds like a crackhead.
He is a crackhead. He is a crackhead. Gator is Wesley Snipes' brother, played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh shit.
Yes. Now, there's only a few crackhead roles that I've ever liked ever. You know, Bubbles from The Wire, Samuel Jackson's Gator from this right here, and then Chris Rock in New Jack City. Pookie. You know, Pookie, Gator, and Bubbles. Those are the only...
Pookie, Gator, and Bubbles?
Pookie, Gator, and Bubbles are the only crackheads that I really, really like in movies and television. Gator was the central crackhead. Now, this guy, he has his mother and his father. You know, his father's a reverend. He's been a reverend since they were growing up. You know, so they have a very strict values and guidelines to the way that they should live. You know, and he's become a strung out drug addict, and his father no longer wants him inside the house, like not even to visit him or his mother. Nothing.
No contact.
Yeah, no contact. So Gator would come over whenever the dad was gone, or whenever he thought he was gone. You know, so at one point he pretty much tries to finagle his mom out of money through different kind of stuff or whatever. He'll come up dressed up as best as he can, like, yeah, I only need $20. You know, I got me a job interview. You know, all they said I had to pay $20 for the application. You know, I'm good. It's like $20 application. You know, she gives him money. Eventually, one day he comes over and says that he did get the new job and he needs to borrow the television because they're going to be doing something. So she lets him borrow the television. You know, leaves, comes back to the mother's house about a week later. She asks him about the television. You know, he's like, where's the television? He's like, no, I need some more money. I need more money. No, but where's the television? Where's the television? I smoke the television. that's where the TV is, you know? Or he asks Wesley Snipes, his brother, he sees him in the park with Spike Lee. Wesley Snipes and Spike Lee are talking about him having sex with a white woman, you know? So Samuel Jackson walks up and he's like, yo, can I borrow some money? He's like, no, you ain't gonna get no more money. You come to me all the time, I'm not giving you no money, you know? So Samuel Jackson, the crackhead, he walks up like, hey, I would hate to go hit some old lady over the head and take her pocketbook for her money, but you know I do it. You know I do it. I like smoking crack. Yeah, I do it because I'm a crack head. You know, he goes into the whole crackhead dance and everything in the song. It's just the whole thing. So he eventually gives him the money, you know, but it wasn't just about the black and white relations. It was more about how drugs were tearing apart families, you know.
Yeah, that sounds like a very comedic approach to dealing with that issue.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who directed it?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was early on. One of our professors was talking about how preachy he was, you know. And this film is preachy, but not pushy.
Yeah, okay.
You know. So I mean, it definitely has an agenda, but it doesn't force it down your throat. it gives you angles. You can look at it this way. You can look at it this way. It also goes into the Jewish people that are living in Brooklyn, the Italian people that are living in Brooklyn. So it goes from every angle. You know how black people talk when white people aren't around. How white people talk when black people aren't around. How Italian people talk about every other. You know what I'm saying? It just goes into every single aspect. It's really, really good.
Fun fact that has nothing to do with the movie, but I heard from a friend that used to live in New York that sometimes people that, because the Jews and Italians often share neighborhoods. Yeah. People that were Jewish Italian, meaning they came from like a Jewish parent and an Italian parent, they were sometimes referred to as pizza bagels.
Pizza bagels. The Italian. Okay, yeah, I see what that. Yeah.
It is my favorite fact that I know. Just pizza bagels.
Pizza bagel. For a Jewish Italian person.
Yep.
That's not
one of my favorites. No, not at all. But, yeah. But Jungle Fever does sound like a really interesting movie.
It's so good. It's really, really, really good. Like, I mean, I recommend that. That's one of my favorite Spike Lee movies ever.
Okay. Jungle Fever. I'll check it out.
And the last thing, me and you were watching this at the end of the podcast last
Greg.
week. Old Greg.
Before we get into Old Greg, let me talk about Old Boy a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because that was my other pick.
Okay.
It's a foreign film. It's Korean, I think. I forgot the director's name. Korean movie, Old Boy, and it's about this drunk alcoholic that's spending the night in a cop station until his brother or someone comes bailing him out, and then he gets kidnapped and he gets put in a room for 15 years, like a sort of like like a luxury prison. Yeah. For 15 years, he gets put into this goddamn prison, and he wakes up and we see that like the first 30 minutes of the movie is just his routine in the prison. And we see how his sanity sort of breaks down in that prison and how he's always trying to constantly escape. Yeah. And then when he actually does escape, he's forced into a new world, modern technology, modern ideologies, no idea what's going on. Yep. And he meets this girl that he immediately sort of, it's the first human contact he's had in 15 years. Yeah. So he immediately sort of like falls for her and they fall in love and whatever. And he's obviously driven by insanity. Yeah. And the whole movie is about it's another revenge story movie essentially. Definitely, it's a revenge and redemption, but it's an interesting take on revenge because the revenge isn't to get his old life back. He knows that's gone. Yep. He lost that the first year he was in the prison, but now it's like knowing why he was in the prison and why he was released from the prison. Yep. That's what the plot of the movie is. Looking for answers. And it's that's it. It's looking for answers, and I think it's a great interpretation of a sort of like an Oedipal complex.
And what?
An Oedipal complex. Oedipus was the Greek dude that banged his own mom.
Oedipus.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. He was the dude that banged his own mom and then gouged out his eyes. The lady that he meets turns out to be his daughter. Yep. And they ended up having sex, and it's a whole fucking emotional revelation. It's fucking insane. All right, this movie's weird. But it's a good action revenge film along the lines of Drive. Like it's not overly actiony, it's not overly heavy on dialogue. It's just a good old straightforward. This is what's happening in this movie. Yeah, and the editing's fantastic. Korean cinematography, as usual, is pretty fucking good. Yep, and the writing is phenomenal, in my opinion.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell the listeners to go ahead and throw yourself off the window if you haven't seen Old Boy. Have you not seen Old Boy?
It's so good. But it's one of those movies that's really good. But unless you're like interested in foreign film or you're like us, film students, you're probably not going to hear too much about it.
I guess not.
Yeah. Because it sort of slides under the radar of being a foreign film. Yeah. And it might be a foreign film, but it's a very relatable film.
It's one of the better films that come from there. I mean, Itchy the Killer, I really like that comes from that same area. But yeah, Old Boy, if you haven't seen Old Boy, then wow. Yeah,
it's a pretty good movie.
You gotta see Old Boy.
And it has one of my favorite fight scenes ever. The 1 versus 100 in the hallway.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So good. It's a lateral movement, sort of like a side scroller. And you see Oda Sue just kick ass, walking from the start of the hallway to the end of the hallway, where is the boss man that he's going to get information from. Yep. And it just kicks so much ass the whole way. And it's a beautiful looking scene, and it inspired one of my favorite fight scenes from Daredevil, the hallway scene.
I was about to say it's been done a number of times. Now you brought up Daredevil. It's been done in a movie called The Raid. Okay. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's been done in a movie called The Raid. And it's Shoot, I'm not gonna be able to think of the name of this one. Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer from left to right. I fucking love that movie. I'm gonna add that one to the list of movies that you should see that you haven't probably seen. Yeah. Snowpiercer. Fucking amazing.
I can't even remember there was a song. Like I said, I'm really intrigued with music, and I think it's Kirsten Dunst. Is that the blonde that plays in the school teacher?
I think so.
It may be Kirsten Dunst. But yeah,
Reese Witherspoon, I think it was.
Was it Reese?
She looked like Reese.
Yeah. So Reese Witherspoon, Kirsten Dunst, a blonde white lady, in her mid-30s.
Yeah, and it's probably Kirsten, not Reese. But go on.
But yeah, she's leading the children, in a song. So what happens if the train stops? We all die. What happens if the engine stops? We all die. Yeah, and it's like then they just sing a whole song about if the engine stops then we die, yada yada. But it's saying in like such an upbeat and happy tone, and I love.
It's like really discordant. But okay, here's why I love that movie. First of all, it's humorous. It has a lot of humor in it, but it also has a lot of political commentary on it. Like it's pure class warfare. Yeah, that's what the movie is. No doubts about it. But it's also saying how, like, people, because this is the world in a very small scale that's in this train. Yep. Because the world is frozen. And they've now scaled back down the entirety of the world into this one train. So you have what's a very concentrated thought. So, like, the bottom of the train is obviously the poor people. The middle of the train is literally the middle class. And the top of the train is literally the first class. Yep. So apart from the obvious metaphor of like the poor class having a resolution and moving towards the end of the train, we have this thing in the middle with Reese Witherspoon, not fucking Kirsten Dunst. Look it up.
I'm gonna look that up.
But with that lady, when they're talking about this, and you realize that it's also making a religious commentary about that, because that's how religions are sort of formed. You're sort of tell that there's a higher power that you can control, and if that higher power decides it, then you're fucked. And so that movie deals with all of those issues in an hour and a half, and it does it amazingly.
So yeah, it was actually another blonde white girl in her mid-30s. Allison Pill. Yeah, she was in The Newsroom and Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh shit, she's done some good work.
Yeah. Oh, and Midnight in Paris.
Nice.
Yeah, Woody Allen movie. Yeah, so she was in that. But all right.
Yeah, we're not gonna get into Snowpiercer. That's an episode of its own. Yep. But if you want a good movie that takes advantage of like a very specific style of cinematography and a very specific style of social commentary, go watch Snowpiercer too, because it's really good. And look out for left to right movement in that movie, because every time there's a decision, there's only two possible options, and it's either go right towards the top of the train or go back
towards the back. Yeah.
And fuck, that movie made me cry, man. Yeah. John Hurt's in that movie.
John Hurt.
John Hurt. John Hurt. He played the Ward Doctor in Doctor Who. He's a really good old actor. Oh. He was in that movie, surprised the shit out of me. But that movie made me cry like a couple of times throughout. So watch Snowpiercer. Here's our list so far: Snowpiercer, Drive, Only God Forgives, Frank, Black Mirror,
and Jungle
Fever. Yep. 6 really good movies that we feel like aren't recognized enough for what they did. Yeah. And we've told you why. Now, please, if you're interested in anything that we've said, go watch all of those movies and give them some love, because they are amazing.
And I want to throw a wild card in there, the Old Greg wild card. This isn't a movie. It's just the most silly thing that you're going to find on YouTube. You may have already seen it. It has 15 billion views and likes already.
Old as shit, too.
Yeah, it's been out for quite a while. So I hope you've already seen this already. But if you have not, it's made by the Mighty Boosh. The British comedians, they're over there. They're still producing things, but by far, I feel like their best work is Old Greg. Check it out on YouTube.
Sweet. Old Greg.
I'm Old Greg. I got a mangina. You don't know what I got.
Anyway, we made it to 45 minutes talking about movies. That's impressive.
That was a long segment. I think it was a good segment.
That was good. Yeah, I think so.
It was a really good segment.
Listen, like we said before, if you're interested in any of these movies, if you're interested in just good directing, good writing, and good cinematography, go watch these movies. They're fantastic movies to study we're film students, so we study these films not only for fun, but because they're our jobs. And we love them because they teach us what to do, what not to do, and it helps us find our own voices. If you're a film student, or if you're in any way related or interested in studying films for more than just for fun, go watch any of those 6 movies because you will have an amazing time. And if you can, I encourage you. Not a lot of people do this, but I encourage you to take notes when you watch any of these movies. Because when you take notes, and there's going to be a quick aside, when you take notes in a movie, you start noting down the psychology of the characters, and you start nailing down the psychology of cinematography, and you can go back and you can look at all those thoughts after you've watched a movie and sort of see what the movie did to you as a viewer.
Yeah.
And then analyze that and see what it does for you as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
That's why I take notes whenever I watch really good movies. And that's why I have 3 pages of fucking drive notes. Yeah. But nothing, they really don't say anything else other than like, holy shit, that cinematography looks amazing. Yeah. That's all that says. Yeah. But it helps to take notes in movies. So if you're in any way interested, do that. I recommend it.
Agreed.
And I think that's it for now. I think that was it. Yeah, anything else? Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we close?
Oh, we covered it. This we'll go into our last segment of the TV premieres and movie premieres for next week.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna take another little break. I'm gonna go pee, and then we're gonna go back with the closing segment.
All right.
All right. Cheers. Thanks for listening. And we're back. What's up?
Alrighty, we got the TV premieres for this week. All right, we're going to start on February the 11th, this Thursday. We got Grey's Anatomy coming back to ABC.
Is that still fucking going on?
It's still fucking going.
Jesus.
What's the blonde that was on there? Catherine...
Zeta?
No. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Heigl. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know if she's on there anymore, but yeah. Grey's Anatomy is coming back at 8 p.m. February 11th, Thursday night. The next show right after that is Scandal at 9 p.m. That's coming back, so all you Kerry Washington fans, go ahead and watch out for that.
She is very fierce.
Yes.
She is. I don't like the show. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But if there's one thing I gotta give it, like, props for, from writing, like, a fucking badass female character. Yeah. That shit's really good.
Yeah, she's a great female lead. I watched the first 2 seasons. The first season's really good, but the name of the show is Scandal, so I guess I should have expected it to be scandalous. Because I mean, that's every season is. It's so much drama. It's just a little much for me, but it's a really good show. It gets good reviews.
Yeah.
Written by the same writer and same creator. The show right after that on ABC at 10 p.m. is How to Get Away with Murder.
That guy is making bank.
Woman.
That lady's making bank.
Yeah. So all 3 of those shows are coming back on ABC February 11th. Nice. The next day we have is Saturday, February the 13th. Now, the reason I have this, what's coming up is the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit of 2016. That's going to be on TNT at 10:30 p.m. on Saturday. The reason I put this on there, because there's not going to be any good cinematography on there. There's not going to be any good writing, any dialogue on there. It's the fucking Sports Illustrated Swimsuit edition.
Sometimes you just need to enjoy a little bit of hot people.
You're damn right.
It's fine.
Yeah. And you never know. I mean, they could be geniuses for all we know. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Cindy Crawford turns out.
Maybe one of them sponsors Hillary 8 years from now.
There you go. That's not what I'll be watching for, but yeah, you should watch Sports Illustrated.
Now that you mentioned Sports Illustrated, there was one actress. I don't fucking remember her name, but she was a lingerie model and actress.
Yeah.
And she got signed in for Sports Illustrated.
Nice.
So if you're looking to see interesting people, you might as well tune in.
I'll be checking that out. Have a favorite of Kathy Ireland. She's a swimsuit model from like the early 90s. God, got me through my whole adolescence. She got me through my whole adolescence with those Sports Illustrated magazines, if you get where I'm going here. And on Sunday...
Just fucking breeze through that one.
On Sunday, February the 14th, Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, Comic Book Man is coming back on AMC. That comes on at midnight. That's Comic Book Man, the show with Kevin Smith.
Oh, he does that? He has a televised version of it?
Yeah, Comic Book Man. It comes on at midnight.
Shit, because I've only heard he has like 7 podcasts. Now he has like a fucking television show? Jesus.
He does a lot. One of my favorite shows on HBO is called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
That was a really good show.
Yeah.
Fucking love that.
That's the season premiere is coming up on Valentine's Day, Sunday the 14th,
nice.
11 p.m. HBO. And then the moment I've been waiting for this Valentine's Day is The Walking Dead.
Ah, shit. You're a Walking Dead fan?
Yeah. Yeah.
We should do an episode on The Walking Dead because I'm not a Walking Dead fan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get into that then.
But that premieres when?
Sunday. This Sunday at 10 p.m.
Ah, shit.
Walking Dead.
People are gonna bang and then tune into The Walking Dead. That's what's gonna happen this Sunday.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. Yeah. Valentine's Day is about zombies now. Wow. The following day, Monday, February the 15th, is the 58th Grammys.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Dang, there's 58 of them?
The 58th Grammys. It's going to be hosted by LL Cool J.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I believe it's like his second or third time doing it.
He's the one with the lip sync show, right? LL Cool
Is he
J?
on there?
I think so.
Maybe so.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The lip sync show is also a really good show to check out. I don't know when it comes out. I watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. Let's see what else here. Oh, a show that I'm really looking forward to is called 11/22/63. Like that's the name of it. November 22nd.
Is that the Kennedy assassination?
It is. Yeah. J.J. Abrams' adaptation of a Stephen King time travel novel.
Oh,
about the JFK
I remember
assassination.
that shit.
Yeah.
That was good as shit.
Unfortunately, it's only going to be on Hulu.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's only on Hulu. That's the only way you'll be able to watch it. It's starring James Franco, directed by J.J. Abrams, adaptation of Stephen King.
Which is an adaptation of history, I
Yes,
guess.
yeah. About a JFK assassination. So, you have so many reasons to watch this. As long as
That's actually pretty dope. I read the premise. I didn't read the story, but I read the premise of that story. Mm-hmm. And it sounded interesting as hell.
I want to see it. I don't have Hulu, but I'll try to find a way. And still on that day, Monday, February the 15th, Better Call Saul comes back.
I put it on my Netflix queue because I know that it's a good show.
Yep.
And I haven't gotten around to watching it.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one episode. It's a prequel to Breaking Bad. And I love Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad was good.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad was one of the shows that was a little too much for me. Because every time I watched it, I was depressed. It was just a fucking bummer. Oh. But good show.
Yeah, really, really good.
So Better Call Saul. Mm-hmm. Prequel to Breaking Bad.
Yep.
It's some people may not know. It's Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad.
Saul Goodman.
His side of the story before Breaking Bad happened.
Yep.
I hear it's good. People love it.
It's coming back for another season, so somebody's watching it.
Yep.
So like I said, that's AMC 10 p.m. Then moving on to Wednesday, last day of the week before we're back. Let's see here. February the 17th, Wednesday, Broad City. My shit, Broad City. Now, I mentioned it earlier because Hannibal Buress is in it. Mm-hmm. He's not a main character, but he's in every other episode or so. But Ilana and Abby are that's their real names and their names on the show. Mm-hmm. Ilana and Abby, huge crush on both of them. It's not about the way that they look. Yeah. I was talking to my girlfriend about that, if she finds them attractive or not. And I'm like, look at their personalities. Personality goes a long way. If you put that personality inside Whoopi Goldberg, I'm going to find Whoopi Goldberg attractive. Personality goes a long way for me. And both of these girls have it.
Fill me in on Broad City, because I feel like that's a show that not a lot of people know about.
Broad City, is exactly what it's saying. It's two women, Ilana and Abby, and they're living their life in New York City.
Okay.
So it's just the things that they have to deal with are they're walking down the street and they're being themselves. You've seen the thing on the internet, the resting bitch face that they talk about? All right, so it's them just walking down the street casually and normal. And then a guy walks in and he's like, hey, you should smile. And then they're like, okay. And they put big grins on their faces, then flip them off at the same time. It's like, who the fuck are you? Tell me that I should smile. This is my face, So it's just dealing with things that women, millennials, so 25 and under, women
are going to be dealing with.
Yeah, things that they have to deal with. So relationships, things like that.
That should be an interesting show to see how women interact with the world.
Yeah, it is. And the showrunner is Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler is fantastic.
Yes, she is.
Tina Fey and Amy Poehler has been some of my favorite writers lately.
Oh yeah.
I want to mention another show that's totally not in the same league as Broad City for what it looks like, but the show The L Word. The L Word. Yeah. Which is a show about 6 or so lesbians in a group.
Yep.
And they're just hanging out, dealing with their lesbian problems and shit. It's one of the best fucking shows that I saw in a while.
That's on HBO or Showtime?
I think it's Showtime. Yeah. I watched it on Netflix. All the 6 seasons are on Netflix now.
Okay.
But the reason I watched it is because my friend, shout out to you, you know who you are.
Yeah, that's me.
My friend watched it on Netflix. We shared an account, and I just one day out of morbid curiosity clicked on it. And I was hooked, man. It was a stupidly good show. I don't know why it was so good.
Yeah.
I can't relate to any other characters in that show. Like, I'm not a woman. I'm not gay. Yeah. I'm not a gay woman. But for some reason, that show was amazing. So go check it. If you like funny female characters, definitely go check it out.
I love television shows with a strong female lead.
They're great.
Love that. Let's see. That's all for this week in television. But movie premieres now. The movie we've all been waiting for.
Fucking Deadpool.
Deadpool
comes out today. I'm probably gonna watch it today.
You can get a late night showing for Deadpool tonight, or you can see it everywhere tomorrow, Friday. So I'm looking forward to it. It's rated R. It has a runtime of 106 minutes. So they're not gonna sit there and pander. You're not gonna be in the movie theater for 3 hours of a movie. Yeah. It looks like they're gonna get to the point.
I've heard reviews about the movie and said it's like a good origin story for Deadpool. And it is everything we wanted. That's what I've heard.
I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 81%. I'm not big. It is. I'm not big on ratings, but I do like to look at it beforehand. But they give it 81%. It could be a minus 5%, and I will be in that movie theater tomorrow.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good fucking movie. Yeah. I'm excited for it.
The next film opening the same weekend is Zoolander. Zoolander has a sequel. Did you see the first one?
Yeah, I watched it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's very silly. I mean, it's a really, really silly movie. And I don't know if we discussed on the podcast or not, if it was just our regular conversations about sequels to comedies. Yeah. And has a sequel to a comedy ever been successful, good or preceded or just better than the first one?
I think that was the first episode. Yeah, we talked about the first episode.
Yeah, so I mean, just along those bases, I'm not expecting much from Zoolander the sequel.
No, but I think that it's going to be a fun movie.
It will be fun. No, I'm going to see it. I'm still going to see it, but I'm just not expecting anything.
That's the thing with comedies are weird because I definitely think that what I've been seeing from this movie and like the marketing campaign too. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be as fun as the first one was.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it's going to be fun. It does.
So I'm excited for that one too.
Unfortunately, Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 41%, but they rate all comedies low. Yeah, there was a Meet the
Fuckers.
No, the one with Jennifer Aniston and I'll remember it later. Yeah, but yeah, they rate a lot of comedies low. Anyway,
I've seen that a lot in like user review based channels. Comedies usually get a bad rep.
They do.
I understand that we're gonna do an episode on comedies on their own, and I'm gonna talk about why I think that happens there.
All right. So that's Zoolander, February the 12th. Has a 102-minute runtime, so like I said, that's going to be to the point.
That's as well. Tomorrow too.
Yep, that's still tomorrow.
Cool.
Another movie opening up this weekend, How to Be Single. It's another comedy. I don't know if I'll be paying to see this movie, but there's a lot of young upcoming actors that are going to be in it. Rebel Wilson, you might know her as Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect.
Oh shit, she's awesome. Yeah, that's one of my favorite people in Hollywood right now. She's really funny.
She is. Rebel Wilson's in it. Damon Wayans Jr. is in it. There's a show called Workaholics. His character name is Anders. Not sure what his real name is, but he's going to be in that. So I mean, a lot of.
Is it the guy with the fro?
Not that one.
Because the guy with the glasses and the fro, that's Richard Ayoade. He's a British comedian. But I'm fucking.
There was only 3, so we can just eliminate one of the other 2.
The 2 that we didn't, the 2 that we said, the other one.
The other one, yeah. So he's in that, and How to Be Single. That may be good. Don't know. It doesn't have ratings for it out there yet, but it has all the people that you like. So there you go.
Sweet.
Now the movie that I want to see even more than Deadpool, just for myself, is a movie called Nina Forever.
Nina Forever.
It's only a 90-minute runtime. And I think I jotted down some stuff about it. But I mean, this right here is rated at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And let me give you the synopsis about what this movie is. Nina Forever. After his girlfriend dies in a car crash, Rob unsuccessfully attempts suicide. As he begins to overcome his grief, he falls in love with a coworker, Holly. Their relationship is complicated when Nina, unable to rest in her afterlife, comes back to life to sarcastically torment them whenever they have sex. Now this silliness has gotten a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. 100%. Nina Forever. Now, I'm sure it's only going to be in select theaters. It's a smaller budget movie. But I'm going to go wherever I have to go to see this right here.
Dude, that's one of my favorite premises for a movie. Just because You can come back to life to sarcastically torture them.
Yeah.
But no, sarcastically torture them only when they're having sex.
Only when sex, exactly. Yeah.
That's fucking fantastic. Is there anything else to cover?
Oh, that's it. That's TVs and movies.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
I think that 2015 was a pretty bad year for like entertainment. I think like not a lot happened
For movie entertainment, for television, Netflix type stuff. It was one of the better years for me.
That's true.
You know, but for movies, going cinema,
it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But 2016 looks like it's bringing up the game with television and Netflix shows, and cinema stepping up.
It is.
So I hope that works.
I do.
I hope so too. I think that's pretty much it for today's episode, isn't it?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching so much. I appreciate every time that you listen. I keep track. To the one dude in the Netherlands, I checked out the stats the other day. There's one dude from the Netherlands that's like listening to us talking.
Yeah. I don't even know any like Netherlands stereotypes
No,
to throw out there.
I can't even pronounce the name or where he's from.
Yeah.
And they're listening to us.
So that's great.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Seriously, no, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back here next week to talk. What the fuck are we going to talk about next week?
Next week is romantic comedies.
Romantic comedies?
Yep.
Shit, I gotta watch romantic comedies.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
All
Thanks for watching.
Later.
Watching, fucking listening.